y'all, it's Hip and Crafty Hip, and welcome to Icad number 39. Icad is Index Card a Day, comes from Tammy Garcia of Daisy Yellow, who's also Gypsy999 on Instagram. Now, Tammy has daily prompts and weekly themes to help inspire you. Today's prompt is geometric. I don't tend to use her themes, never have. I've been doing this, I don't know, this is my fourth or maybe fifth year. I don't even know. I've lost count of doing Icad, but she's been doing it for 12 years. So, also, my friend Nina Fickett has some mixed media Icad prompts, and today her prompt is music lyrics. Now, when I saw these two prompts, I thought about it for a little bit, kind of going back and forth about what I would do with geometric. And then for music lyrics, I kind of thought that I would put down maybe some music paper that had lyrics on it, like I have several like hymnals and just old music and stuff that's got lyrics on it. And I thought, well, that would be easy enough. But I am trying to work through a couple of scrap boxes and not create any more scraps. So I don't want to print anything out or tear out a new page or anything like that. So I went through my scrap boxes and I found no music in there, y'all. So I was like, okay, well, I can also use music lyrics as a sentiment because, like, was it yesterday? I think my sentiment that I ended up sticking down said dreamer of dreams, and that is a music lyric. At least for me, when I put it down, I could hear uh, Jimmy Buffett's, I think it's a pirate looks at 40. Anyway, that line is in there, dreamer of dreams. So I thought, okay, well, I can use that as a sentiment. And then for geometric, I thought, oh, well, I can do some neurographic doodling. So that's the bulk of what I'm doing. So I started there, you saw, with putting down a little bit of collage using my Oohoo glue stick, and to make it a little more cohesive, I slapped just a little bit of gesso down and brayered that out. And then I'm putting some instant coffee down, y'all. It's one of my favorite things. I decided just to splatter it on there as I do. And now I'm drying the whole thing. And now the real struggle is going to begin. I'm going to trim this up just a little bit. It was feeling a little wonky to me. But the real struggle with this is when I do my neurographic doodles, I tend to use Sharpie products just because they're permanent. They don't blur. If I decide to watercolor on it or whatever, nothing is going to move around. But I knew with this one, I probably wasn't going to add much more because I really liked what I've got going on in this background. So for the geometric portion of this, I decided I was going to draw a triangle, a square, and at least part of a circle. So there's my geometric shapes. And then I'm going to draw just some kind of fluid lines around it that kind of intersect with some of the other stuff. And again, I am using, this is the chisel tip Sharpie. I was trying to figure out I wanted my last line to be. Now, if you don't know neurographic doodling, it tends to start with like central shapes, circles or wiggly lines, or it could be a heart or, something more specific. And then you draw these other lines around on it that kind of intersect with things. And you come back in with whatever your mark making tool is. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be a Sharpie. It could be a regular pen. It could be, you could use a paintbrush or whatever you want. I'm struggling to come up with that, what other tools you could use, but a pencil or whatever works for you. And where the lines intersect, you make these curves. You curve the intersections so they are not these 90-degree angles. So you can see I'm coming in here with this is just a regular fine tip Sharpie, not the ultra fine tip, just a regular fine tip. And just go in and where those intersect, curve. Now, I was having trouble with my Sharpies because I'm working on top of all of these surfaces, the coffee, the gesso, the different papers, the texture, and I've been using most of these Sharpies for a while now, so they're starting to dry up. So I'm going to go through about 3 of these fine point Sharpies to get my lines intersected. And this takes a while. I may end up having to play some music here because it's a long process. But what I really like about the neurographic doodling process is it is It's almost mindless and meditative. It's a great way. I mean, I like to do this in front of the TV or on car rides, things like that where I just need to keep my hands busy. But it's also a great way to just sit and relax and kind of meditate. So there's two Sharpies down, and I'm bringing in a third one here. And it doesn't seem to work much better, even though it's new, but I'm going to play around with them and fix them. Anyway, as far as neurographic doodling, I find it just really relaxing and a great way to do some mark making without having a whole lot of intention. I've started including my neurographic doodles on the cover on the front of my thank you cards that I send out with my Etsy orders. So that's a little bit about that. Neurographic doodling comes from some kind of, I think, Russian psychologist or something that was using it, and it's called neurographic doodling because those intersections kind of look like the way synapses in the brain work, or synapses are down anyway. It kind of looks like that. So that's where the term neurographic comes from. And there's all kinds of information. You can learn more about neurographic doodling online. You can search it all over the place and find it. All right, so now I've got my ultrafine Sharpie and I'm just evening out some of the lines. It seemed to be working a lot better, so I'm fixing out some of that. And then I'm going to start doodling within the shapes that I've got there. I really enjoy drawing just straight lines within them, as close together as I can get them. So I'm going to do that in one of them. And like I said, this is just kind of my hands busy kind of activity I do all the time. And so I took my time this morning. I'm running a little late today because, yeah, I let myself just go for it. Plan. If you enjoy just making marks sometimes, I encourage you to try this. Let me know if you have any questions about this type of doodling, but I found that, you've got all those little intersections. You can paint them in with some watercolors or acrylic paint or use markers, or you can do these doodles like I do. Like I said, I'm not going to color mine because I have all that going on in the background. So I'm just going to doodle this a little bit, and while I'm doing that, I'm thinking about the other prompt, which was the music lyric prompt. And I knew that I could obviously use a music lyric as my sentiment on here, so I was trying to think what music lyric would work. I did, when I get to that point, pull out quite a few things. I cut that out of the video because y'all didn't need to watch me struggle any more than I am with these markers. And couldn't find anything that really worked, and so you'll see what I do in here in just a minute. So I've got that. I tried a couple of the other Sharpies that didn't work and ended up with that chisel tip again and drew these just kind of, to me, they're kind of botanically bud flower shapes on there. I was wanting something with a little curve to it since I'd drawn all those straight lines. So I'm looking at this for a while. Yeah, just trying to fill in. I'm not going to fill in every single one of these shapes. I like kind of keeping some of them open, but I like to fill some of them in with little lines and some with big lines and some with like curves and things like that. Now this is another Sharpie product. It is a roller ball pen. I'm trying to find it on my desk so I can tell you what it is. It's the Sharpie Roller 0.5. So it's a 5, I think, millimeter. And I'm doing these kind of rainbow scallopy shapes here. Again, I wanted some curves to go with all the geometricness that's going on here. So I'm doing that in there. I am sorry if this is so boring to y'all, but like I said, I was in the groove. I was feeling meditative, and this pen, y'all, worked way better than any of the other Sharpie products that I used on this card for some reason. So I went ahead, let's see, and I needed another dark area, so I put a blob in the middle of one of the rounder ones, and then I'm just drawing lines out from it. Like I said, y'all, I really enjoy just drawing straight lines sometimes. And then for the one last thing I'm going to do, I've got a whole, when I was laying in bed, I created a little book that's kind of a mark making catalog. I need to add some more to it, but I flipped through that real quick and remembered this mark that I really love to make, which involves just making some circles and drawing lines out from it and then kind of curving the edges where those meet. Yeah, I really like this shape. So, and that is going to finish up my doodling and mark making for this. You know, I can always just add some little plus signs or dots or dashes or whatever in there. But I knew that this was going on long enough, and I probably should have sped all that up. And so for I did, like I said, I looked through several different things trying to find a sentiment that I would really wanted to work, and was finally like, you know what, I'm just going to use some masking tape. And the first thing that came to mind for some reason was the Journey song Don't Stop Believing. So yeah, that's what I'm going to write. Now, I don't like how I wrote it here. So I look at that and I'm like, ugh, no. So I put down the other piece of masking tape that I had torn, and I'm going to write it out again in a way that I like better. I don't know. And I'll stick it on the card and then decide I want it to stand out a little bit more on the card. So I'm going to darken the downstrokes. You know, the, what do you call it? A lot of people do that. It's kind of the calligraphy type thing. I didn't do any kind of calligraphy type, but I'm just darkening this up a little bit just to make it stand out a little bit more. And at that point, I realized how long this video had gotten and how much time I had taken to work on this. So I'm going to leave it at that, y'all. It was a fun card to create for me. It was all about the process today and taking a little bit of time just to create and make some marks on my card. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe. Let me know if you have any questions, and come back tomorrow and see what we're going to do. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching and sticking in through this one. Bye.